Hello, I want to talk about a few plants for dry shade. Now, you can have wet shade or non-dry shade. Now, generally, if there's trees, it's dry shade because the trees are taking the water. If you're in a city garden, maybe with tall buildings, you might have wet shade. It's a totally different ball game, and it's much easier. So there's not a huge amount of plants that do well in dry shade, and the important thing is do well. It's not survive. They have to do well. They have to be exuberant. It's not worth it. You might as well not bother. You might as well leave the weeds there. But we start off. This is Astilbe. Astilbe CHINENSIS. Very, very good Astilbe. Really, really good. But you can see it's suffering there. Dry shade, so it's not right for it. It just isn't right. It is trying to come back and produce flowers, but it's just not right. And neither is the Cirsium. The Cirsium rivulare, very good thistle. It's not right in that situation. So we'll either have to move these or cut the tree down. That's a very nice tree. It's a pink bark birch, Betula albocinensis. But now we look at plants that like dry shade. Evergreen ferns, not deciduous ferns, evergreen ferns like dry shade, believe it or not. Evergreen ferns don't like damp soil, they like damp atmosphere. It's difference. That's the soft shield fern. Another plant which can be tricky enough is elephant's ears. I've never particularly liked this plant, but I found quite by accident that in a dry situation, and there's 2 Scots pine trees taking all the water out, in a dry situation it's really good. Really, really good. That one is called Ballawley. It has very large leaves. Now, it does suffer from a problem that a lot of evergreen perennials have, is that they don't lose their leaves. Where if it's deciduous, the whole lot goes and it's fresh every year. You have to go through them once a year and take the old stuff away. It doesn't do it itself. And you get a little bit of this. But other than that, very, very nice flowers in the spring. Good plant. Only for dry conditions, whether it's shade or sun, it has to be dry. Bone dry. And next we have an Astelia. Astelias are grass-like plants, and they love, but I think maybe in the lily family, they love dry shade. They're really good in dry shade. That one is a browny coloured one, but generally you get the silver ones. They're generally silver. And one of the best ground cover plants for dry shade is geranium. It's called Geranium MACRORRHIZUM, and it's evergreen. Its only downside is that it doesn't flower for a huge amount of time, but it's very, very good carpeting plant, easily controlled, highly recommended. Geranium MACRORRHIZUM. And we'll go across here. Without doing too much damage. We have a native wood rush, Luzula, but I take it or leave it. I'm not too mad about it. It's okay, but that's designed for woodland conditions, but it's just okay. We have Libertia grandiflora. Lovely flowers, 3-petal flowers, very elegant, held quite high in the spring, or rather in the summer, or maybe late spring, early summer. Very good for the shade, really, really. Does put itself about a bit, but highly recommended. Libertia grandiflora. Now, we planted some stuff here, and you can see there's a bit of a gap. They didn't grow because it was too dry. So we're going to move. This is a new anemone called white swan. We don't know. Is the problem they don't like dry conditions, or we just put them in too late? So I'm going to lift that one there and plant it here. So we'll have 4 of them, and then I'm going to lift some of the Libertias, split them, and fill in all the rest of the gap with the Libertias. Now 2 more plants. Okay. Oh, look at this. Now this is a plant. That's the male fern. Probably today you couldn't call it the male fern, you know, the way things are gone. But you have to sort of have a more neutral term. But look how well. I mean, this plant loves it here. I mean, Could you get better than that in shade? That's the male fern. Pulmonarias, they suffered a little bit. That's Pulmonaria longifolia. And I found that's the best of all the pulmonarias. Lovely blue flowers in the spring, forget-me-not type flowers, the same family as forget-me-not. Rough leaves, most of that family have rough leaves. And that was quite good. And we finish off with Epimediums. This is an Epimedium. These are very fashionable plants. I'm not madly fond of them myself, but what's good about them is they're different texturally than the others, so they give a bit of variety. So I hope I mentioned some good shade-loving plants. Now, and the important thing is shade-loving plants, not shade-tolerant plants. You have to get them to love the shade, not just hunker down and be tolerant of the shade, because then you might as well not bother. Anyway, if you like that video, give me a thumbs up.